What's up, everyone? Welcome to MLB Crunch Time. I'm your host today, TJ Zworich, joined by two of the sharpest minds in the biz. First up, we got Justin Van Zuden. How you doing tonight, Cards?
Yeah, doing good. Fun little baseball slate tonight. My Cardinals are playing well right now, so I can't complain. Looking forward to breaking it down here, and it doesn't seem like we got any weather to worry about, so should be a fun night.
Joining us as well to help break down tonight's 8-game MLB DFS slate, we got Bobby Gomes. How you doing, Bobby?
Doing well. I've been on a little bit of a heater in MLB, trying to keep it going. Yeah, love the baseballs. Love the baseballs. Always my favorite time of year.
Hell yeah. Happy to hear it. Let's keep it going tonight. Smash that like button so we can get some home run picks from Bobby. We'll get some Spidey bombs later in the show as well, and I'm sure Cards has some home run plays. All we ask is that you guys smash that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our shows. And one quick shout out to our guy Tim, producing today behind the scenes. That means I don't have to screen share. I don't have to mess with things around. I'm just going to hang out and talk with the chat, make sure I get my lineups in. Life is good.
Get the old Ricky Bobby. You don't know what to do with your hands. They're not
exactly like they're up here. I actually don't know what to do with them. Bootleg Head Chopper in chat asking no Roth yet. Is he okay? Roth is never here on the weekends. He took a couple days off, but he's never here on the weekend, so he will be back next week. He's all good. He just took a trip to Disneyland. That's all. But Bobby, since you're on a heater, I want to ask you to break down this slate. Give me your 30,000-foot view. What are your thoughts on tonight's slate?
Definitely like the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, just for like my two main stacks. Pitching, I don't love. I don't know, like Pivetta, Gallen. These are pretty much guys that I'm okay with, but I don't really love the pitching on this slate. Interested to hear your guys' takes. Yeah, that's pretty much a short, like very brief breakdown on my end.
It's certainly not last night. Last night, I just felt like there were 12, 15, maybe even 20 different pitchers on the board that would be viable. If you're looking at this slate, probably like 25 of the pitchers would be viable on this slate. And there's a few I'm okay with playing, but definitely nobody that gets me overly excited. Cards, how about you? How are you planning to attack tonight's slate?
Yeah, it is more of an offensive leaning slate. I did, since Cheese writes the articles during the week and I write them on the weekends, I did message him last night and said, hey, you could have saved me some pitchers for Saturday because you had about 20 viable pitchers and about 10 aces on Friday. Would have been nice to save some of those for today. Instead, we're left with, Matt Boyd this afternoon and Nick Pivetta tonight as the most expensive pitchers. So it's a little bit strange to have all the aces bunched so close together, all pitching on the same day. Like at this time of the year, usually with rainouts and off days, things have kind of gotten spread out, but it does still seem like we're on the track of a lot of aces pitching on the same days. So a little bit of a weaker pitching slate tonight. I maybe like the pitching a little bit better than Bobby does, but not dominant by any means. And I think it's a really interesting slate for bats.
Let's start diving into it. Let's talk about the pitching first up. We're not going to talk about pitching first up because I forgot it. We got a lot of extra time. We don't have locked up for another full hour, so we will go game by game for a breakdown, just like we see on how Grinders Live used to. Now we got the tier list, but I guess weekend crunch time is the only time we go game by game now. So we're doing that first. Then we got the pitching breakdown. We'll go position by position, give you our cash game plays, give you our tournament plays, home run calls, questions, and then we'll get out of here, let you enjoy your Saturday night. Bobby, going to you first. Let's start with Houston and Texas. Both these teams have the same exact implied team total, 4.25. I do know you like one of the pitchers in this game, though, so let's start things off with Tyler Mahle and whether or not you're willing to stack Houston against them.
I like Tyler Mahle. I do not love the Houston bats. He's reverse splitsy, right? So definitely tough reverse righties. Houston's only going to roll out Caratini as the lefty. really only have to pitch around Walker and Paredes, in my opinion. Chenzo didn't make the lineup. I feel like he's one of the better hitters in this Houston lineup. So, yeah, I kind of like Melee. I would imagine you like Houston a little bit more for like the GPPs and stuff like. I'm just fine with Melee. I don't know how much I'm going to have currently. I haven't ran my final yet, but he's in my pool currently. Always play Altuve and Pena, but this Houston offense is pretty much underwhelmed for me recently and pretty much all season. Like, don't let Kyle Tucker go and sign some lefties that can hit.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat with Houston today. I actually just X them out of their offense out of my pool entirely. There's too many other offenses I want to make sure I'm getting not just a little piece of, but a big piece of. And so I had to cross out a few teams today, and Houston is one of those that did not make the cut for me. Cards, Houston, Texas. You like any stacks in this game? You like any pitchers in this game?
Yeah, not really for the offense. I'm definitely not as high on Tyler Mahle. His surface ERA is 1.4, something like that. But he's got one of the lowest BABIPs in the league, like a 4% home run to fly ball rate. So that's certainly not sustainable. His strikeout rate is right around 20% below league average, and he's like 9.6K on DraftKings. So and this is not an endorsement for the Houston offense by any means. I agree with the thoughts there that, they've struggled. There's just not a lot of ceiling in this group. But I'm nervous at that price with Mahle being a, ace priced pitcher. I don't think it's necessarily worth the risk on this slate. But I don't mind Blanco on the other side. His strikeout rate is up to 25%. And when you look at this Texas lineup, what they've done all year, Corey Seager can't stay healthy. Marcus Semien is a shell of his former self. Jack Peterson, a shell of his former self. I mean, these guys are hitting in the 100s. Seager's not in the lineup, and you basically got Wyatt Langford, and sometimes Adolis Garcia runs into one. It's an ugly group of offense, and Blanco is not the most exciting pitcher to target either. But on a thin pitching slate, where you consider that on DraftKings, Blanco is like $2,000 cheaper than the pitcher on the other side, and a lot of the top end arms on the slate, I think he gets you enough to where he also frees up a couple thousand the salary to where you can spend on some of those top offenses that we're going to want to get to tonight. So I do not have a whole lot of exposure to bats in this game. I wouldn't hate using Langford or Garcia or something as a one-off if you wanted to, but pretty low total, decent pitchers that aren't generally going to get blown up. But I do like Houston. I do like that side of the game because I trust Blanco a little bit more against the current state of the Texas offense. So I actually bet Houston tonight, but I'm probably not stacking either offense in DFS. But I think Blanco is in the conversation as your potential SP2 on DraftKings for sure.
I am stacking up Texas a little bit. I'm a little bit higher on them than I think you are, just because with Blanco picking up a little bit of ownership, they're cheap enough that they do allow you, if you want to stack them up, to do a Pivetta Gallon combo and still maybe even get an Ohtani in the lineup. And if they happen to hit, they're taking out Blanco as well. So I do like them a little bit for tournaments, not among my top stacks, but in 150 lineups, definitely going to get a piece. Bobby, what do you think about Blanco? And are you going to play any Texas against him today?
I like the Blanco call, especially at 7,800. He pitched well his last time out too. But I also like your call and like the Texas stack being that Higashioka and mainly like the wraparound Langford, Berger. I think these guys are pretty interesting on the back end. So yeah, like definitely love Higashioka a little bit. Like Langford, like Berger. Jock, I'm not really a ton of interest in Jock, but he is hitting in the 6 hole. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I think it was the interesting thing. I will say, I didn't realize Molly's price is like 9.7 or whatever he is on DK. So it's a little dicey to kind of play. I'm still going to leave him in my pool. I just boosted Blanco a little bit. If Molly hits, he hits, but I definitely like the Colin Blanco. And as I watched the start the other night, and I thought he pitched pretty well, so I don't mind going back to him.
As it stands right now, I have 10 5-man Texas stacks in 150 lineups, and then I'm getting to 25% Ronel Blanco. So same here, kind of getting to both sides of that one. Next up, we got 3 games in a row that have the exact same implied team run total for both of the sides. St. Louis and Kansas City, both of these guys at 4.5 implied run totals. No one's going to pitch Miles Michaelis, so we don't have to worry about talking about that. Nobody is going to be pitching this Cameron fella going up against St. Louis, Noah Cameron. So we only have to talk about the offenses. Cards, I'll let you talk about your Cardinals first. What do you think about a stack up against Noah Cameron tonight?
Yeah, I think this game is fun. I like this game a lot better than the previous one in terms of bats. When you look at, the Royals have been one of the better surprises in the league this year, and the Cardinals have won 11 out of 12. So, I had no expectations for the Cardinals this year, but they're pretty fun to watch right now. So they scored 10 last night. Their lineup is a lot deeper than a lot of people expected, and they've been playing good baseball. So Noah Cameron, decent prospect, pitched some shutout innings in his major league debut, but he's only made one major league start. His minor league numbers, he's been pretty wild. And the Cardinals are one of the hotter teams in the league, obviously, with that 11-1 record their last 12 games. So both of these offenses, I think, are perfectly viable tonight. Starting with the Cardinals side, I think your primary target is probably going to be Ivan Herrera. He's really cheap on FanDuel, so even though you don't need to roster a catcher on FanDuel, he's like 2,600 over there. On DraftKings, he's more expensive, but you also need a catcher. He's been off the charts in terms of his splits this year when he's been healthy. Had a bases loaded 3-run double last night. Both Herrera and Wilson Contreras on the big winning streak they've had have had really good numbers. So if you sort the splits over the last 2 weeks, I think the Cardinals are third in the league in team weighted on base. So against a lefty, Noah Cameron's a lefty. Herrera and Contreras, I think, are the best individual targets. Maybe throw Arenado in that mix as well, or Mason Wynn, who's still pretty cheap and has been hitting well in the 2-hole. So I'd stick with the righties. You could maybe throw Newt or Donovan into a stack. But I will be overweight on stacks of both sides of this game. I think that we've got a potential for a pretty high scoring game here.
Bobby, how about you? What are you doing with the Cardinals? And then lead us into some Kansas City talk. What are you going to do with them?
Yeah, so I like this game as well on both sides. Newt Bar, it's probably my favorite Cardinal, followed by Mason Wynn. Contreras and Herrera right there as well. The one thing with catcher on this slate, it seems pretty loaded. So yeah, Herrera is definitely in my pool. He's definitely fine. Not really on Michaelis. I don't know really how you could be. He is 5,800. Royals don't strike out a ton. I think his K prop's 2.5, so probably not getting there.
That's not very many.
Yeah, Bobby Witt on the Royal side, definitely targeting him a good bit. He's just Bobby Witt and like the game environment. Jonathan India, 3,300 is his price tag. Jonathan India, third base outfield eligibility, that's great and all. Jonathan India stinks. If I have to give the breakdown. But yeah, he'll be in my pool. I'm just not going to play him if he's 13 to 15% and high. If he's like 15% high stakes, I'll probably be under that. Pasquantino, Vinny Pasta had a home run last night. It's kind of a slow start to the year, but don't mind him. Perez, catcher, first base eligibility, don't mind him. Those are like the main Royals. Yeah, I like this game environment, not on the pitching.
The Royals are kind of always a team that I don't like full stacking, and I really like mini stacking. Like,
has that been painful for you in the last week? Because I'm pretty sure the 5 stack got there.
Not really, just because it's still like as long as I'm playing Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, and maybe Michael Garcia or some other guy for a third one. As long as I have Vinny P and Bobby Witt, I feel pretty good about getting a large amount of the production. Maybe throwing Sal Perez in there, something like that. Like I like these guys as a 3-man typically more because, like you said, India kind of stinks. Like, I don't
He
really want to
stinks.
play in.
I played him
Yeah.
when the other night when they were the 5 stack that ended up shipping it. I had them as a 5, and when I was finished running it, I was like, "Oh my god, I have so much India." And then I had Massey too, so I just ended up getting, I think, kind of lucky. But yeah, I don't know. Like, India, not really great outside of after leaving Cincinnati, right? Like, that ballpark probably definitely helped his power numbers. Now he's in KC. I don't know. He just hasn't hit the ball well to start the year, so I don't know. I'm currently probably under the field.
Cards, how about you? What are you going to do with the Royals?
Yeah, I mean, Michaelis is just so bad that you can play anybody against him, and he's gotten a little lucky the last couple starts. He hasn't had a stinker in a while, and I mean, when he's bad, it's awful. It's hard to watch him pitch as a Cardinals fan. Woke up this morning and remembered that it was his day to pitch and wanted to go back to sleep. But yeah, so I mean, again, I'm overweight on both sides of this game. Not that I don't disagree that India with his, I just pulled it up, 075 ISO on the season, which is half of his career number. Concur on the power numbers, obviously better in Cincinnati than they're going to be in KC. But I don't know who else they would throw unless they just decide to follow the approach of get all your best guys the most at bats and throw Witt in the leadoff spot or something. They're just kind of keep rolling India out there. But yeah, Witt and Pasquantino, I actually found out through watching the game last night that they have a Pasquatch that comes out when he hits a home run. I didn't know that until last night, so I learned that in last night's game. So that got him a boost. But yeah, I'll be underweight on India as well, assuming, I mean, right now we've got him at 17% ownership. That's too high. But Michaelis is so bad when he's off that, I've got to have some 5-man stacks here.
Yeah, maybe I should be reevaluating it right now because I have only 8 5-man stacks of Kansas City in 150. Bobby Witt is one of my highest owned players, though. He is my highest owned shortstop, and then Pasquantino is my 3rd highest owned first baseman. So I am getting to the guys that I want to get to there at least. But Braves and Boston, another game with equal implied run totals from both of these sides. 5 in this one, though. We're just slowly going up incrementally with each game. 10 total. We got Grant Holmes going up against Lucas Giolito. Bobby, will throw it to you first. You going to play any Holmes against Boston or any Giolito against Atlanta?
Atlanta struggled at points versus righties. Giolito is going to make my pool at 7,500. I think I would prefer him to Holmes. The Red Sox have just been, I can't really figure out this team because they're definitely talented. Guys like Willer Abreu, Christian Campbell, Duran, Devers, obviously Bregman. Like, they have bats. I just don't know where they're going. I don't know why they haven't brought the kids up yet. Yeah, I really like the Sox side. Abreu is probably my favorite bat in the 5-hole. Most people are going to play Duran. My heaviest will probably be Abreu. Like Devers, Bregman. I think these guys are all fine. I don't love the back end of the order with Toro and Navarez and Rafaela, but you got to make do with what's there, I guess. On the Brave side, if you're attacking Giolito, Austin Riley's going to stand out a good bit. Matt Olson. Ozuna would probably be my favorite for the tag and like his potential upside. Drake Baldwin in the catcher position in the 5-hole, I like a good bit, especially with Fenway, with that wall in Fenway. Eli White, I think he's someone at the back of the order that I have interest in. I don't love Verdugo leading off. I know there's revenge narrative there. I just think I'm just not an Alex Verdugo guy. I think he could play well tonight, but if he does, I'm not going to be there. Yeah, I don't know. Ozzy Albies seems to be coming around, but like, I need to see it more. Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. Like, Giolito and Holmes are going to make my pool, but I'll definitely have more Giolito than Holmes.
I didn't get to any Giolito. I do have a little bit of Holmes, but I have a ton of both of these offenses. I like Holmes as a GPP play, but I like both of the offenses more. Austin Riley at third and Devers at third are two of my favorite plays. Christian Campbell at second is one of my favorite plays on the slate as well. And then Drake Baldwin, I think, is going to be my highest owned catcher today. So love the stacks, love some of the individual plays. Cards, what are you planning on doing with Atlanta and Boston?
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this game. I think it's a really interesting matchup because you've got two pitchers that are kind of all over the place in terms of their results. Giolito looked like he was going to be an ace, a few years back before the injury bug got him. Holmes shows really good stuff at times, but you just kind of never know what you're going to get from him. So I think you've got some reasonable ceiling. We know it's there in both of the pitchers. We certainly know that the offenses have some upside too. I mean, that's why this game has a 10-run total. So it's a super unpredictable spot, which I think in GPPs, you probably want to be taking some shots somewhere. If you're not playing the pitchers, then you should probably be playing some of the offenses. So, yeah, I mean, I'll keep Holmes in my pool. I trust his ceiling a little bit more with the strikeouts. But I also think the Boston offense is the one that scares me a little bit more. So I'm probably underweight on the bats in this game. That makes me a little bit nervous. But I mean, I like St. Louis. I like Kansas City. I like some of the ones we got coming up. And the Braves are just still a little too expensive for my liking. When you look at, four of their guys above 4,300 on DK, Ozuna's got the best splits against righties. So as Bobby mentioned, he would probably be my favorite. If I had to pick out a one-off from the Braves, it's probably Ozuna, probably Abreu or Devers for Boston. But I think I'm underweight on the full stacks of this game, and it's not like a hard line stance. It probably makes me a little bit nervous to be that way. It's just the way I think it comes out with the salaries and my builds and stuff tonight.
I think my favorite way to full stack Atlanta today would be Riley, Ozuna, Olsen, Baldwin, Michael Harris. I think would be the way that I'd want to do it. We have hit 50 likes, so I got my first Spidey Bomb for the people at plus 560 on FanDuel. It is Christian Campbell hitting cleanup for Boston today. So Christian Campbell is Spidey Bomb number one. I have not one, but two more Spidey Bombs coming for the people as soon as we hit 100 likes. So get us 50 more likes, get us up to 100. I got two more Spidey Bombs. That's when we'll get some home run picks from Cards and Bobby as well. All we ask you to do is hit that like button. Next game we have up on the slate, we have Minnesota and Milwaukee. Probably be able to save a little bit of time here, although I don't mind the Minnesota stack. I think they're very interesting today. I'm getting some Tobias Myers as a pitcher. I'm not getting to any Pablo Lopez. I don't like the ownership for that price. I'm going with the Lopez fade today. Cards, what are you doing with these two pitchers?
Yeah, I mean, Myers is cheap. So if you're looking to stack up Arizona, you're looking to stack up the Dodgers, the Padres, Myers gets you access to that. I just can't trust him with the way his numbers have looked and the fact that the Twins have won 12 in a row. So it's a hot squad right now. I'm out on Myers. I'm okay with Lopez. I didn't tag him simply because that salary is a little bit tough to get to. And I think, we got other pitchers that are coming up that I think make a little bit more sense. I don't have any issue with Lopez. He's probably my number 3 guy overall today. But I don't think he's an absolute must at 9,700, but the Twins are hot right now. The Brewers have really been struggling. That lineup leaves a lot to be desired towards the bottom half. Just seems like there's a lot of, easier routes at the bottom. Once you get through Contreras, you got Frelick and Hoskins isn't what he used to be power-wise. Jake Bauers, Durbin, Joey Ortiz. They've tried some other guys that just haven't worked out at the bottom of that lineup. So as long as you can avoid like the Churio, Terang, Contreras from doing a bunch of damage, I just don't see the Brewers putting a ton of runs on the board. They didn't score last night. In offense, yeah, I'm out on the Milwaukee side against Lopez. Just not a pitcher you want to attack. Don't mind Trevor Larnach out of the leadoff spot for Minnesota. Solid splits, only 3,900 on DK. The lineup as a whole, I mean, it's a little bit more affordable now. But Buxton's not in there tonight, so the ceiling is maybe a little bit more muted with this lineup, but you've got decent value there. Brooks Lee's hitting third. He's only 3,200 on DK. Jeffers at catcher, 3,800. Harrison Bader's back in the lineup tonight. He's been hitting it really well over the last couple of weeks, and so is Cody Clemens, who's really cheap also. So you can get some value pieces, some value one-offs here if you want. Not one of my top 3 or 4 stacks by any means, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Minnesota keeps rolling tonight. It just, that lineup looks a little bit weaker without Buxton in it.
Feel very similarly to Minnesota as I do Texas. I want to take the pitcher against them. I also want to take a few of their full stacks because they're cheap and they got some high upside. Bobby, what are you going to do with Pablo Lopez tonight? One of the highest projected pitchers, also coming with a lot of ownership. You get into a lot of Lopez, and then how much of these stacks you playing?
Yeah, Lopez in my pool. I think he'd probably likely fall behind guys like Gallen, Pivetta, Blanco. But he's going to be in my pool. Myers, I don't mind either versus a Correa and Buxton-less Minnesota team. If I had to pick like Minnesota bats, Cody Clemens caught my eye today. I think he has first base and outfield eligibility. Don't mind him. Larnick, Jeffers, Royce Lewis. I think those guys are fine as like one-offs. I'm not really stacking this team too much. Yeah, that's mainly where I'm at. In terms of Milwaukee.
For Milwaukee.
Yeah, Yelich stands out. I think both Powers and Hoskins. Well, I think one of them goes yard tonight, if I had to guess. Contreras in the catcher position. Don't mind him. Not getting to like much of Churio. Maybe I should change that a little bit, but I don't know. The rest of the lineup, I don't really have a ton of interest in.
Colorado and Arizona. Arizona is giving us the highest implied team total tonight, but highest implied run total by over a full run. They got the top pitcher on the slate, the top stack on the slate. Bobby, how are you handling these Cardinals? I feel like these Cardinals. These Diamondbacks. Switch it. I'm ready for football already. The sun is shining. It's summertime. Get me some football. But obviously, we could just ignore Colorado's pitching entirely. Would you stack them at all, or is this just an all Arizona game for us?
I've been playing the pitcher pretty aggressively versus Colorado. Tonight, I think there are, like with Tovar back in the lineup, I think it's a major improvement to their lineup. Not that it's like crazy significant, but I think he's definitely better. He makes their lineup better, and he's at 2,600. So I don't mind him. I don't mind McMahon. I don't mind Goodman. I don't know if I'm going to stack them, but like maybe as a mini, they're fine. I guess you want to full stack them because Gallen's going to be relatively chalky. So
don't do that either.
Yeah, that's rough.
I've been stacking a lot of Colorado.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You're not supposed to do that. Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. I don't know. Some of these guys are fine or as one-offs or maybe in a mini. Really like the Arizona side. Like Carroll, I think, is probably the best play on the slate. Suarez at third base, I love. Kettle Marte, Pavin Smith, Jordan Lawler's in there in the 8-hole. Gurriel's been red hot. He's in the 3-hole. He did nothing last night, but he's been red hot prior to last night. Moreno, Perdomo. Yeah. Arizona's just a really good stack tonight. I know they're probably going to be the highest owned stack. I'm fine with them. I think the Dodgers are the team that I might go with minis instead of fulls out of these two. I haven't really decided, but I'm leaning towards it being the Dodgers and just biting the bullet versus Marquez, who's horrific, and just playing Arizona.
Cards, how about you? I have 20% Dodger stacks, 20% Diamondback stacks in my 150 lineups today. It's chalk, but I don't care. I'm just eating it up for dinner tonight. What are you doing with Arizona?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of always just used to operate under the assumption that Marquez was the one Rockies pitcher that wasn't a gas can, and he just hasn't had done anything the last couple of years to justify anything other than he's just like all the other Colorado pitchers.
His arm's broken, though, in fairness.
Yeah. I mean, 10 years of pitching at Coors would probably break anybody, whether it's mental, physical, whatever. It's just he's not the same guy anymore. And even when he's at his best, he was, tough to trust in anything other than the best of matchups, which this almost certainly is not. Even though it's not in Coors, it's still this Arizona lineup from top to bottom is pretty deep. So you 6.5 run totals outside of Coors just don't pop up every day. Arizona's a huge favorite here. I tagged Marte over Carroll today simply because of positional eligibility reasons, right? We're not doing this breakdown tonight on a position by position basis, but if we were, second base is relatively weak. So I think Carroll, I really like Carroll. If I was picking one spend up on Arizona, I think Marte gets the nod simply because he fills the second base spot and there's plenty of other outfielders to spend up on. Gurriel, because he's cheap. Waller, who Bobby mentioned, is basically min salary, and he's in there tonight. Pretty good prospect for them. Suarez, when he goes off, seems to hit multiple home runs. It's just loaded group tonight. Naylor's not in there, so Smith gets the cleanup spot, so that gives him a bump. But it's tough not to like Arizona here. And I think Gallen, I know Gallen hasn't been himself this year. The stuff has looked better the last couple of starts. His K prop is like 7.5. It's just, the Rockies have Tovar back, but Doyle's not in there tonight. So it's just that lineup is horrible. And it's just tough to get away from Arizona on an 8-game slate.
All right, we got Seattle going up against the Padres next. Usually I like stacking up Seattle when they're outside of their home pitcher's park, but Padres Park is barely any better, and they got a really tough matchup going up against Pivetta today. This is another one of those games where I like one side quite a bit, the pitcher and the stack, and the other side, I don't want to play the pitcher or the stack. Cars, what are you doing with Seattle and San Diego?
Yeah, this is a tough game to handicap as far as how you want to get your exposure, because while I certainly like Nick Pivetta and the splits are, the numbers are pretty good, over 10K on DraftKings gets a little bit of sticker shock. And if, we live in a salary cap world here where if you're trying to stack Arizona or you're trying to get Bobby Witt or the Dodgers guys that we haven't even talked about yet, if you're trying to get them in there, it's tough to do with Pivetta at 10-1. So I like him. I certainly don't think he's a priority. Like, you could use Gallen Blanco would probably be my top pairing on DraftKings tonight, which leaves Lopez, just below them and Pivetta just below them. And then the Padres bats are so expensive with Merrill at 6K and Tatis at 5,800 and Machado at 5,500. Raleigh is still over 5K on the Seattle side. So I feel a little bit nervous about being underweight on the bats here. Emerson Hancock has allowed pretty weak splits to lefties. So, if I had to pick a spend up on the San Diego side, it's probably Merrill at lower ownership than Tatis. Maybe Jake Cronenworth as more of a value, but I don't have a ton of exposure to this game in total. And I kind of feel okay with it. It's just tough to fit San Diego in at those salaries unless you're going, skipping both Tatis and Merrill or Machado. And I just don't think that makes them an optimal stack if you're leaving two of those guys off of there. So given the way the salary works tonight, not too much exposure here. No Seattle bats at all. You could maybe make a case for them as a leverage stack, but I'm not doing that tonight.
Yeah, that's why I feel very similarly about San Diego. Like John Hansa brings up a great point in chat. DK hasn't properly dropped their prices since they left Coors. They're just too expensive still. And so it's a team much like Kansas City where I really like a mini stack. Give me 2 to 3 of Tatis, Merrill, Machado, and even Cronenworth. But I don't really feel like I ever have to play anybody else on the Padres. Bobby, what are you doing with Nick Pivetta tonight? And are you getting at either of these stacks?
Yeah, so this is where I think DFS has changed a ton. And it's really like a guy like Pivetta at this price tag. Are we playing him or are we not playing him? In theory, you should be fading Pivetta here, in my opinion. I just did my projection. I'm just waiting for it to run. But like last night, everyone was talking about fading Corbin Burns. The other night, fading Patrick Corbin. I know they're both facing the Rockies. It's just like the obvious fade doesn't, even at 10-1, it doesn't always seem like it's it's just like the easy move for a lot of people to just get to. So I think I'm fine with Pivetta. I will say with those guys underneath him in the mid 9Ks, Pablo Lopez, Gallons at 9K. Who else? Tyler Molly's at 9,600. No one will be playing him. Like, I think there are like options around him, but sometimes I just think you just play the guy who I think has the biggest ceiling. So I'm probably going to be playing Pivetta unless I get to more Lopez. I feel like I'm doing the tout thing here. I can tell you in a couple minutes like who I'm going to be on for sure if I'm going to be on Pivetta.
I am kind of I'm probably not going to do it just because I don't want to adjust everything right now, but I am kind of tempted to just say, what if I on DraftKings fade Nick Pivetta, Pablo Lopez, and Tyler Molly? I never remember which one it is, and just have Zach Gallen as my most expensive pitcher, and just fade all of the ones around, hanging out around 10K. I do have Pivetta right now, but I actually didn't realize he was going to be quite that highly owned until we hopped on the show today. He wasn't projecting that crazy before, so I don't hate that idea. Let us know when you're. Feel free to interrupt.
I'll let you know. It should be pretty quick. I will say I do like the San Diego stack, mainly Tatis, Machado, Merrill, Cronenworth. I don't mind Hayward on the back end, even though he's terrible. But just to make like the 5-man worth, and I think Diaz is back there as well. So I don't hate the San Diego stack. And on the Seattle Mariners side, it's really Raleigh and Polanco for me. Maybe some Dylan Moore. Yeah, I'll let you know shortly if I'm playing Pivetta.
All right, 2 games left, and we will go position by. It'll be a little bit tighter, a little bit quicker of a position by position because we already have gone through all of these games. But do not worry, we will still let you know who all the cash game plays are, all the tournament pivots, and then we will take your questions as well. Hit the like button so we can get some home run picks. The Athletics going up against the Giants. Luis Severino against Landon Roop. I feel like I personally have just never been on Luis Severino since he was good with the Yankees a long time ago. Recently, I just never really play Luis Severino. I guess at 3% ownership, maybe it's not totally crazy, but I'm getting to some Roop. I don't have any Severino right now. Cards, what are you doing with these pitchers? And then take us into the stacks.
Yeah, I'm with you. I never play Severino. I do think Roop is interesting because you look at his advanced numbers. They're better than the surface stats would indicate. I think Roop is a decent pitcher. Has had his last 3 games have been at Minnesota, who again has won 12 in a row, at the Cubs and at the Padres. So he's had really tough matchups. Now he gets the A's at home. It's a big park downshift from where the Athletics are currently playing in Sacramento to a pitcher-friendly park in San Francisco. The A's only have a 3.6 run implied team total. So I'm on Roop a little bit. I wouldn't talk you out of, some one-off top-end bats from the A's, Rooker, Jacob Wilson, or something like that. But I just don't think it's necessary on this slate. If it was a 3 or 4 game slate, I'd have a little bit more interest there. But not much in the bats for the A's. For the Giants, a fun fact I saw this afternoon with his 3-homer, 8 RBI night last night, Wilmer Flores is now tied for the league lead in RBIs with Aaron Judge. So if somebody asks you who's leading the league in RBIs, you can say Wilmer Flores, and it would be correct. Wilmer Flores.
How many home runs did he hit last night?
What's that?
How many home runs did he hit last night?
3 homers and 8 RBIs. Yeah, and so not only does Wilmer Flores, I went down the Wilmer Flores rabbit hole for no
I
particular
kept
reason.
seeing it come across the ticker. I know I already hit a grand slam, and then I was like, you hit 2 more, and I was like, oh baby, he had like 52 DK.
3 homers, 8 RBIs, leads the league in RBIs, and he has 7 grand slams in his career. Like, that's a lot. Wilmer Flores, lefty masher, Wilmer Flores, I guess. He's even in there against the righties now, and he's on pace for 150 some RBIs. Certainly won't last at that level, but for the league leader in RBIs to still be 3,800 on DK and 2% owned is kind of crazy. Not that I'm on him for any particular reason. I just thought that was an interesting fact, and I had no idea that Wilmer Flores had 40 plus RBIs. Look, if you're looking to go super sneaky and you're building 150 tonight, I think you throw some Giant stacks in there. I don't think Severino's particularly good. He doesn't strike out a ton of guys. The Giants' offense is more talented than a lot of people tend to think. The park isn't great, but I do kind of like the Giants here. As if you're playing, single entry or 3 max, it's probably not worth the trouble. But if you're doing 20 lineups or more tonight, I think you need some San Francisco.
Allow me, if I may, to steal the screen share from Tim for a second, and I can show you exactly how I feel about the San Francisco Giants. Wrote them up as my favorite sneaky stack of the day today in the expert survey. Bobby, how about you? What are you doing in this game with the pitchers? Are you going to get to any Roop or Severino? And then are you getting to either of these stacks in tournaments?
Going to be over on Roop. I'm going to be, in terms of Pivetta, I'm going to be underweight on Pivetta. Definitely going to be over on Roop. I do like the Giant stack. Yastrzemski, been red hot. Adames, Chapman. I think these guys are fine. Ramos was a late scratch, I think, last night. I think he's fine tonight. Like San Fran a little bit. I wonder if you should like some of these A's, like Rooker, Soderstrom, Butler, but I don't see myself getting to many of them. That's mainly it. I should probably boost Flores, right, for just being red hot. I don't know. I don't think he profiles great, but it is Severino and he stinks, so it probably doesn't matter. I'll have Giant stacks. I'll have Roop. Not many A's.
Battle of LA. We got the Angels facing the Dodgers. Dodgers are nearly 2-run favorites, projecting as the second best stack of the night behind Arizona. Bobby, I'll throw it to you first for this one. Dodgers, Angels. Kershaw's first game back. I don't think we want to mess around pitching him tonight. We never want to mess around pitching against the Dodgers. And so probably no Tyler Anderson. But let's talk about the stacks. Who are you getting to in this one?
Yeah, I have the Dodgers as just minis. Their run total went down. Obviously, I have a ton of Shohei Ohtani, Dalton Rushing. I think these are the guys that stand out the most. Obviously, you can play Mookie anytime, Conforto, Freeman. But yeah, I'm trying to slam Arizona. So, and maybe it should be flipped around, but this is just the approach I'm taking. Pajes has been very good of late. Kiki and Rojas are always fillers, but yeah. I thought I'd be getting more Dodgers, but I'm just getting a ton of minis. I know you're playing the 5. I know majority of people are going to play the 5. That's how I'm approaching. Arizona's my favorite stack. I'm just trying to jam Arizona.
All right, Cards. How about you? How much Dodgers are you getting to? And then are you going to play any Angels going up against Kershaw?
Yeah, probably not on the Angels tonight, and you'll get the mix and match out of the bullpen. Just tough to love that offense. Dodger Stadium tends to play as a pretty solid pitcher's park at night. Doesn't seem to matter for the Dodgers offense, but probably matters for the Angels offense. And I just can't see even a one-off against Kershaw, who might become a parade of bullpen matchup spots after 4 innings or so. I'm kind of with Bobby. I'm underweight on the Dodgers full stacks simply because it seems like all the lineups that you build with the Dodgers look the same because their lineup is so top heavy. It's basically 3 spend up guy with Will Smith out of there tonight. Basically 3 spend up guys and the rest of them are punts. So you're going to see a lot of people play like 2 of the 3 spend up guys and 3 of the punts in the full stack, right? Muncy homered the other night, had a 3-hit day, and he's 3,300. Tyler Anderson's your rare like reverse splits lefty, which so even lefty, Muncy will probably get some love at that salary tonight. And then rushing their catcher prospect is only 2,400. So it's tough to differentiate your Dodger stacks. And again, I just think you maybe do, 2 in a lineup and hope you get the 2 that do the most damage. But another spot that makes you a little bit nervous, but I'm underweight on the full stacks as well.
Let's see how many likes here. Are we close to the next 2 Spidey Bombs? 14 likes away. 14 more people. Click that like button right now. Let's get some home run picks. Cards will go to you first. And I do have a home run pick that I love both to hit a home run today, but also as one of my favorite DFS plays on the slate on the Dodgers that I will bring up when we get to 100 likes. But first up, Cards, who you think's hitting a home run tonight?
Yeah, so I'll go with Kettle Marte. Had 2 homer day the other day. You got to take somebody from the Diamondbacks tonight. I'll go with Ivan Herrera, the red hot hitter for the Cardinals right now against the lefty. And in that same game, I'll go with Pasquantino as well. Michaelis just doesn't throw the ball by anybody. Pasquantino hit one about 430 some odd feet last night. Feels like it maybe still didn't land yet, but yeah, we'll go with Kettle Marte on the high end from a DFS pricing perspective. He's about plus 310, 320, depending on where you look. And then we'll go with Herrera, who's like plus 800. I think that's great value there. He's got more power than many people think. And Pasquantino's about plus 475. So it gives you 3 different ones in a couple different odds ranges there.
Bobby, how about you? Who's hitting a homer?
Yeah, I'll take some long shots. Abreu's probably in the middle, but Abreu will be for the Red Sox. He'll be 1 for me. Cody Clemens, I'm going to go. He's probably pretty deep on. I don't have people's home run odds in front of me.
Abreu plus 360, Clemens plus 540.
540. Interesting. Let's go. Who else? I don't even know. I haven't really thought through this. Jackson Merrill. What's Jackson Merrill's?
Jackson Merrill plus 425. I like that a lot for Jackson Merrill tonight.
Yeah. Anyone else like that I liked earlier? Let's go What's Higashioka for Texas? Higashioka.
Plus 520.
Yeah, that works.
All right. My second Spidey Bomb, Cards. What if I told you that you could get the cleanup hitter for the Dodgers for less than 5% ownership today? And his name is Andy Pages. And he's going to be hitting a home run tonight at plus 520. I do have one more for you guys as well, but I want to make sure we get through position by position here before we run out of time. And so, Cards, if you don't mind, who is your optimal cash pairing on DraftKings for pitchers today? Who would be your cash pitcher for FanDuel? Give us a few tournament pivots. And then after that, Bobby, if you don't mind, give us your, not the full breakdown, but just your favorite tournaments today for favorite pitchers today for tournaments.
I think the cash game pairing on DraftKings for me is Gallen and Blanco because it frees up the salary, right? I've got no issue with Pivetta. I've got no issue with Pablo Lopez, but they're also, about $1,000 more expensive than Gallen and like almost $3K, $2 to $3K more expensive than Blanco. So I have them ranked in terms of my interest if you were playing cash games as Gallen 1, Blanco 2, and then Lopez and Pivetta in some order. Tournament pivots, there's just not a lot of them tonight. It's not a deep slate for pitching, but I think your tournament pivots it'd be more logical to go cheap. to help you save some salary to spend on the top end bats. So somebody like a Grant Holmes or Landon Roop. Roop would probably be my favorite. I think would be the pivots for me.
Third and final Spidey Bomb to go along with Andy Pajes and Christian Campbell. We are going with Drake Baldwin at plus 650 today. Bobby, who are your top pitchers on the slate for tournaments?
Yeah, for tournaments, Gallon, I guess he's cash viable as well. 77% Gallon right now, which is probably way too high, but I'll cut that down.
I'm at 70 as well. I did the thing where I got rid of all the high-end pitchers, and I'm just going Gallon and below, so I have 70% Gallon.
Yeah. From there, it gets pretty interesting, I guess. Landon Roop is my second highest own. I'm at like 30%. I'm pitching some Giolito tonight. I know the Braves are good. I know. Pitching some Giolito though. I don't know. I think in large field stuff you can take is like Noah Cameron at 8K. Can we take shots on him, or is he just like not? I mean, in large field stuff, why not, right? I know St. Louis has been red hot.
Well, he's got some ceiling though. He's got some good strikeout stuff.
Yeah, he's got some good strikeout stuff. So that's what I'm saying is like I think he's going to make my tournament pool a little bit. I'll be underweight on Pivetta if he's like I have 28% in high stakes. I think I'm getting like 16 currently. Under on Pablo pretty significantly. Under on Blanco, which I don't love. I guess the main ones for me in tournaments are Gallon, Roop, Giolito, and Cameron. And Grant Holmes. I have some Grant Holmes too. Yeah.
All right, Bobby, take us into the catcher position. Who do you like today, catcher?
Seems to be a lot of good catchers on this slate. Dalton Rushing is my highest exposed catcher for the Dodgers. He's 2,400, followed by Sal Perez, followed by Gabriel Moreno, followed by Kyle Higashioka, followed by Drake Baldwin, followed by Cal Raleigh. I should have more Herrera, but I don't. I think Herrera's a good call. Cards liked him earlier.
Rushing number 2 for me, just behind Drake Baldwin, but getting to an absolute ton of both of those guys. Cards, how about you? Who do you like at catcher?
Yeah, the cheaper plays make logical sense, and that's part of what makes Herrera interesting because he's kind of a spend-up option that, everyone that's up to that range would just say, oh, I'll get up to Raleigh. So in terms of my exposure versus the field, if Herrera's only 4%, really strong play there. But plenty of Moreno as well, and Rushing and Baldwin.
All right, take us first.
Yeah, so this will depend on A, what site you're playing on, B, what salary you have available. Ohtani is here, but you can also play him in the outfield on DraftKings. Pasquantino at 3K against Michael is just, it's too hard to pass up for me. Pavin Smith gets a bump in the cleanup spot there for Arizona tonight. So I like Vinny P. I like Pavin Smith. Certainly won't argue if you're spending up for Freeman or Olsen or something like that, but pretty good value here too.
All right, Bobby, how about you? Who do you like at first?
Berger, Pasquantino, Walker, Kiki's fine. He has first base eligibility, and then Pavin Smith. Those are the guys that I'm. Berger's 2,800. Like, I'm fine. Blanco's going to be a little chalky. I don't want to say the word leverage, but a Berger profile. Well, I know he's been pretty bad late.
All right, take us over to second base.
Yep, second base. Let me pull something up quick. Second base, letting things load. Kettle Marte, easily my highest owned. I have a ton of Kettle Marte. Wow. Miguel Rojas, Kiki Hernandez, playing some Bregman there. Yeah. And some Michael Massey. I guess a little bit of Christian Campbell. That's pretty much it.
I'm getting some Campbell, a lot of Bregman, and a lot of Marte cards. How about you? Who do you like second?
Yeah, that's what I mentioned in the game-by-game. In the game-by-game breakdown, I said I tagged Marte because second base is relatively weak. So he's definitely the top option here. Agree with those plays. And Brooks Lee was the other guy I was going to throw into that mix there in the number 3 spot at 3,200. Pretty good prospect. who's getting a bump up in that lineup tonight with Minnesota sitting a couple of their guys. So, and Cronenworth hitting 7th won't get as much attention as some of the other San Diego guys. So Cronenworth, Brooks Lee, some Michael Garcia as well. Good GPP options.
Take us third.
All right. I'm kind of neutral on what you do at third base tonight. One of the positions I'm filling in last, I'm underweight on Riley just because if he's that highly owned at that salary, like I respect Giolito enough to where I certainly don't feel like he's a must. Muncy's going to be pretty chalky, and even against a reverse splits lefty, Muncy can still have his 0 for 4 nights. So I think Suarez makes the most sense just because there's a pretty big ceiling there. He's a little bit cheaper than Riley. He's a little bit cheaper than Devers. Arenado, if you're on the Cardinals against a lefty, who had, by the way, Arenado hit an RBI double last night that got called back, and he got called out because he missed first base on a double. He just rounded the bag too quickly. I don't know if I've ever seen that from, especially let alone from a veteran, but in any case, it didn't hurt them. But maybe he's got some motivation after that silly mistake last night. But yeah, Suarez, Bregman, Arenado. I'm pretty neutral on Riley and Muncy, but we'll be underweight if they're as popular as we have them.
One cheap play I really like for tournaments is Josh Young here. Josh Jung, getting to a lot of him for Texas. Bobby, who do you like at third?
With cards on Suarez for sure, with cards on being under on Riley for sure. I have Miguel Rojas and Muncy in my pool a little bit. Chapman, I think, is a phenomenal play. I really like Matt Chapman tonight. I wish I was getting more San Fran. I'm not. Yeah, it's pretty much third base.
Take us to short, where there's some good names up top, but it's nowhere near as strong of a position as it usually is.
Jordan Lawler, Witt, Willie Adames, Mason Wynn, Mookie Betts.
Love it. Cards?
And Bobby Witt. But otherwise, my pool here is relatively short tonight with, Lawler's the punt. Wynn is the mid-range guy. Don't mind Jeremy Pena, but Bobby Witt is a spend up. I mean, against Michaelis, who's not going to strike him out. It's a really tough matchup for Michaelis. So, I think Witt he's my priority spend tonight.
Take us to the outfield. Cards?
Yeah, I mean, you got different price ranges here. So, Tatis, Ohtani, Carroll, that's probably the choice for most people if you're picking one guy to spend up on. Right now, we have basically all three of them around 25% ownership. I'm probably ranking them Carroll, Ohtani, Tatis, but I mean, it's largely splitting hairs with those guys. So Carroll probably have the most exposure to simply because Arizona's my top stack. Gurriel, the cheap outfielder that's been hitting and his price hasn't moved. I think Bobby mentioned earlier he didn't do anything last night, but Arizona didn't hit any home runs last night. That's probably going to change tonight. Trevor Larnach, I don't mind as a one-off for the Twins. I think we've hit on most of these guys, throughout the course of the show, and I'll cut it off so Bobby can name some in case we got some questions.
Yeah, Ohtani is my highest owned guy batter on the slate at 40%, and Carroll number 2 at 30%. Bobby, who do you like in the outfield?
Yeah, I like Carroll, Gurriel, Ohtani. You guys mainly hit on that. Andy Pages, I know that's TJ Spidey bomb there. I think he's good now. I think we've come around to the fact that he may be good. But yeah, last 2.5 weeks he's been very, very, very good at the baseball stuff for the Dodgers. Conforto, Duran, Abreu, Marcell Ozuna. I don't know. Yeah, that's mainly it. Oh, Jonathan India. I gotta X him. I'm not. He's not my teams, but yeah, those are pretty much the guys that I have.
All right, let's start taking some questions. One that I did want to hit, since we didn't spend as much time on position by position today, from Marie Donyezy. Can we get each of our top 5 highest owned pitchers for DraftKings? So, Cards, I'll stop with you. Who are your top 5 pitchers?
Gallen number 1, Blanco number 2, Lopez number 3, Pavetta number 4, Roop number 5.
Bobby?
Top 5 pitchers: Gallon, Roop, Giolito, Pavetta, Holmes, and Cameron. Yeah.
I got Gallon, Roop, Blanco, Holmes, and Tobias Myers as my top 5. Ugh, that feels a little grosser than it did earlier, fading all those high-end pitchers. Maybe not the best idea, but who cares?
I think it's correct. I think it's correct. For now, it's correct.
It feels good seeing that 40% Ohtani and 30% Corbin Carroll. Cards, I'm sneaking in Miles Michaelis in my main DK single entry lineup. Have I already lost?
Are you insane? The guy has like a 12%, it might be 13 now, 13% strikeout rate. Like there was one game earlier this year where he got 2 swings and misses in the entire game. Like he misses no bats. And I get it. The Royals aren't spectacular. And, maybe he BABIPs his way into a good start, but he's kind of done that the last 2 or 3 times he's pitched. I just don't see the ceiling in it because there's no strikeout potential. Like the best case scenario.
I'm push you ahead just because we're only 3 minutes to lock.
That's fine.
But a hard no on Miles Michaelis.
Yes.
Next one on the board, DK Cash favorite SP2 cards.
It's Blanco for me.
DK GPP, Bobby. I'm only doing 4 lineups. I have 3 of them have Gallon and Blanco. Should I switch one of them to Pavetta and Roop?
How about Gallon and Roop?
That's what I was thinking too. Maybe just get Blanco out of one of them, but keep Gallon in 3 of the 4. That is what I would want to do there as well. But O'Jenkins says he's got a team with Ohtani, Carroll, and Tatis in his outfield. That looks pretty exciting. Maybe I should.
Is that the same person that's using Michaelis?
No.
I was thinking that too.
Or Ohtani today, Bobby.
What'd you say?
Tatis or Ohtani?
Ohtani, without a doubt.
I guess I didn't actually have to push you through cards because I thought we had more questions, but there were just a lot of comments, and not a lot of them were actually questions. FanDuel Cash pitcher from Jerry is absolutely Zach Gallen. Can't consider anybody else. Cards, what do you think about Cameron at 6K on FanDuel as a tournament play?
He's more interesting at that price for sure, with the caveat being he's also a little less trustworthy on a site where you only get one pitcher. I don't hate it. I mean, admittedly, I'm not doing it, and I'm happy that the Cardinals are playing well right now, but it's not crazy.
Bobby, Blanco and Ohtani or Lopez and Matt Olson, FanDuel single entry?
Blanco and Ohtani? Or who?
Pablo Lopez and Matt Olson.
Probably Blanco and Ohtani.
Is Tyler Anderson reverse splitsy? Yes, he absolutely is, which is why Shohei Ohtani is probably going to hit 6 home runs tonight. Is Seattle sneaky tonight? Yes, they are. Seattle is very sneaky tonight. Can we get TJ to comment on NHL? Go Oilers, go. DK Cash cards, Gabriel Moreno or Yandy Diaz?
It's probably Yainer Diaz. But it's Moreno anyway. The Rays already played, so it's definitely not Yandy.
Houston Diaz.
Yeah, but it's Moreno anyways.
Yeah, it's Moreno.
Brooks Lee and Mookie Betts or Clemens and Bobby Witt? Bobby?
I like Clemens and Witt.
Yeah, I like that pairing quite a bit as well.
Obviously, that's more like you're getting in a GPP territory, but I like Cody Clemens. I like Cody Clemens tonight.
Butthole Jenkins says he's using Dodgers relief pitcher Tanner Scott unloaded up on bats with Gallen as his other pitcher. I don't know about that. I don't think pitching's quite so bad that we got to go to relief tonight. Blanco, Giolito, Holmes, or Roop. Pick your SP2 for single entry, Bobby.
Roop. Roop, yeah, it's going to be Roop. But the other thing is, like, everyone in single entry is going to play Roop, so I might play Giolito. That's how I would. approach it. I'd probably play Giolito, but Roop is definitely the one you want to get in there. I would play Giolito though.
1 minute left to lock. Get your lineups in. I think we have hit all of the questions. Cards, who'd you have to hit a home run again?
Herrera, Pasquantino, and Kettle Marte.
Bobby, how about you?
Abreu, Cody Clemens, and Jackson Merrill.
I had Andy Pajes, Drake Baldwin, and Christian Campbell. Last question before we get out of here. Cards, what do you think about Boston? Or I got second last question. What do you think about Boston tonight as a stack?
I'm not on them, but I don't think it's crazy.
Bobby, you're playing one lineup. Would you play Ohtani, Carroll, or try and get both?
I think I'd lean Carroll, but you can definitely get both.
That'll do it.
I would try to get both.
That'll do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Hit the like button on your way out. Tomorrow's show is earlier than we're used to because lock is at 1 p.m. Eastern time or 1:05 Eastern time. So crunch time tomorrow with myself, Cards, and Will, I believe it is at noon tomorrow, noon Eastern start. So join us for that one. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, on behalf of myself, Cards, Bobby, and Tim doing a wonderful job behind the scenes. We'll see you next time. Peace.